in the bullpen? Where is Charlie Sheen when you need him? Tony Wilson having trouble with the Greenbrier Excavating K-Town Hustler, the Victory Vinyl Wrap version. And we're not real sure what's happened, but the first gen Camaro has gone silent. That's 330-foot cone out on the Summit Racing Equipment left-hand side of the racetrack here at Virginia Motorsports Park, and it does not look like it is coming back to life.
So after a string of consistent runs at our season opener in Galat, looks like this team struggling here at Virginia Motorsports Park.
Well, see, what had happened was parachutes came out. Tony Wilson didn't know, put her in reverse, and now they're wrapped around the rear end housing. So give us a moment. We'll get back with you as quickly as possible. In the meantime, hear from some more of our great partners here at the Red Line Oil PDRA Drag Racing Series.
Big stuff with over 30 years of engine and drivetrain experience.
racing surface to clean up all the footprints, feet prints. Tony Wilson shoots accidentally came out, and no communication for him to stop, so he accidentally backed over them.
Yeah, and where that gets bad, Scotty, is if you continue in a reverse method over your parachutes and it wraps around the rear end housing, could rip the brake lines apart, could rip brakes apart. Everything underneath the car could get really torn apart by parachutes wrapped around the rear end. One more lap up and back on the tractor just to make sure everything is cleaned off the racing surface and even up both sides of the racetrack, and then we will continue. We'll start back. We'll try again. Take two.
Redo.
Need one of those film crew deals.
Q3, extremely important for Tony Wilson as he is on the outside looking in.
No doubt. Big weekend for him as well, also debuting a new partnership and coming out right here and having some trouble. So that crew will go back, check over everything probably 2 or 3 times before they come back up for Q3 later this afternoon.
Tyler hazard lights are on the tractor, so he is making his final trip down and back. And hopefully we'll fire off some more Schweitzer Dynamics Pro Nitrous machines.
Yeah, we'll give it another whirl. Last time we really built it up. This time we're just going to let it go. There was a song about that. A movie starred by that.
I'm certainly not going to sing.
I can't hit the high note, so I'm not either. At this moment, there's a lot of teams that are thinking that is their mindset right now. Just let it go. Kind of like if you watch the Florida Gators Urban Meyer Untold on Netflix. Just let it go. Part of it. If you haven't seen it, tune in. Great program.
So just to refresh everybody, Amber Denton leading qualifying here. Number 1 qualifier so far at a 368.6. Franklin number 2. Pops following behind it, 369.4. Marcus Butner number 3, 370 with a 0. Billy Albert number 4, 370 with a 5.
And that's your top 4 that you'll see in the shootout as we come up at the end of this session. So Amber Franklin and Billy Albert will face each other, and then Tommy Franklin and Marcus Butner will face each other. The winner of those two will move on into the Fab 4 Shootout Final, presented by Travis Mills Foundation, with $2,000 up for grabs on a Friday afternoon for just a little bit of hard work. So Amber Denton, Tommy Franklin, Marcus Butner, Billy Albert, all 4 have a chance to cover some expenses here on a Friday night. As the tractor goes into its parking position, and we will fire back off. Now with a pair of Pro Nitrous hot rods, Corey Smith and Ed Wilson.
Wilson's going to be behind the wheel of the Willies out of Benson, North Carolina, not in the program. Number 19 struggled on the first attempt. Corey Smith, not safe, number 16. So both these drivers looking to improve their first efforts out on the racing surface this afternoon. Corey Smith maybe having some issues here in the left-hand side of the racetrack. Ed Wilson waiting patiently on the right-hand side. And just as starter Dwayne Lane gets down to the car, it appeared like it fired, but now they're going to push it. So the wheels are falling off here in Q2.
Summit Racing Parts called. PDRA staff would like to have an air impact to see if we can put the wheels back on the bus. My goodness, Q2 is not starting off the way that we wanted it to. As Ed Wilson will get a competition broke single here in Q2. Currently sitting number 19, as Scotty said, so this is a very important run for him to try and get his aspiration Willies into the field.
So all eyes on Ed Wilson right side the racetrack, and ooh, that did not go according to plan. He'll coast through at a 6:04.
You know, Scotty, there's only so many times you could continue to do the same thing. Ed Wilson's team will go back and try a different wrench in the toolbox and try to give it a go in Q3.
So Tyler, our next fair fire to life, head to the water box. Andrew Hondras on the right-hand side. Triple trouble Camaro. On the outside looking in. And
Scotty, we don't need anything called triple trouble.
oh, that's accurate. Stevie Jackson here on the left-hand side out of Thompson, Georgia. The Motion Race Works Corvette out of Pap Camp. And honestly, I didn't expect to see this car back in the 14th qualified position. They had issues on the first run, only went a 494.
Stevie's never done anything conventional.
Okay, I'll give you that.
I mean, Stevie is like, he's probably holding the cards in his hand like this is the way I wanted this to go. This tells a story. I can talk about this on Shake and Bake.
Yeah.
Seen live on Stevie Jackson YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Copyrights, or what's it called? Trademarks. There it is. I'll send my invoice. Got to get 2 more of those in by the end of the weekend so I can send a full bill. Anyways, Stevie Jackson, Thomas, Georgia, the KTR drag racing Chevrolet Corvette left-hand side, owned by Tim Papp. So far, has been driven better by Tim Papp. I'll pay for that one later. Andrew Hondras, right side, number 18, looking on the outside of the field. Will be looking to move up and has just seen the cars in front of him struggle. So this could be a good time for Andrew Hondras to make an A to B lap to put himself on the right side of the do or done line on the qualifying sheet. And Stevie Jackson's just going to try to get the you-know-what away from that line and try to move up out of the number 14 spot. Both tire shake once again.
Tyler, extremely hot conditions out there on the racing surface. Dane Wood and Jim Widener going to try to tackle it right here. Widener sits back in the number 15 spot out of Batesville, Indiana. the 2017 Corvette for BES Race Engines, Ross Induction Solutions, and VP Race Fuels. Dane Wood here on the left-hand side. For the Brickhouse Brothers, original U.S. Male Racing, BHM Drag Racing, Donnie and Julie Wilson. Three Guns Customs, Purvis Ford, 660 Race Car Technology, all helping Dane Wood out, and that Ford Mustang has looked impressive here this weekend. Seems that Dane Wood, with the Pat Busey horsepower this season, is liking this hot weather so far.
Scotty, there's not very many that like hot weather.
I do.
Okay, cool.
I'm not a winter fella.
Not either. Pro Boost, if you're not on your way here, if you didn't get the WhatsApp message, hi, we need you now. Pro Boost, Q2, bring them on down.
Dane, your number 11 qualifier, 375.1 on the first attempt at 201.67. Wagner slowed to a 519 at 92 whole miles per hour.
Green lights and tire shake. Both drivers will coast down. We'll try it again on the next two. An auspicious start to Pro Nitrous.
Yeah.
Big word.
Huge discussion on PDRA Live this week was and the vital role that they play in getting that race car down A to B. Hottest conditions so far this year, most humidity.
Yep.
Who do you think's going to get it right? You think any of them are going to make it?
Scriba made a really good run in Q1. I would expect to see the reigning world champion to continue on that path and possibly improve on his number 10 qualifying spot. The 374 run when he made it was actually a pretty stout run that we all kind of thought, hey, that's should end up pretty nice with the conditions, and ended up being 6 numbers behind, which is not where the reigning world champ wants to be. So I would expect for Freddie Scriber to try and squeak maybe a 373 out of it right here. We all know it is warmer than it was in Q1. But this is important because tomorrow you race in these conditions.
100%.
So you definitely want to learn something when you take to the tree in these conditions, because tomorrow is going to look eerily similar looking at the forecast.
So he'll be next. John Vergatz on the right-hand side of the racetrack, the Dark Knight 69 Camaro for A1 Auto. Both these machines with UC horsepower. Vergatz did not have the performance numbers he was looking for in the opening round of qualifying. Landed number 13 at a 493.1. So all eyes on Millersville, Maryland. Freddie Scriba and John Vergatz out of Erie, Pennsylvania.
Two of them go to the finish line. 376. Freddie Scriba, the quicker of the two. John Vergatz improves mightily over a second to move up to number 12, 381.5. And Freddie Scriba doesn't improve, but goes down the racetrack. And Scotty, like we talked about before the run, that's important.
That's huge. Cam Clark and Tim Molnar. Clark on the right-hand side. The Reedsville-based Camaro for Cumberland Napa. And Clark's Automotive, the engine builder by trade. Number 13 out of 386.9. Timmy Molnar, left-hand side. The Bad Santa 2023 Camaro for Albert Race Engines, ARC Gas. Ricky Smith, Jim Attachments. Number 8, 374.5. Great lap by Tim Molnar in the opening round of qualifying. With a veteran like Ricky Smith leading the camp. They probably got plenty of data that they can go on.
Scotty, we talk about it a lot of times with cars that Ricky is tuning, how these are conditions where Ricky seems to thrive. He may not be the fastest car on the property, but he is usually the one that will stroll up and down the racetrack no matter how hot it is outside. So really, if you're looking at the qualifying sheet, you want to stay away from a Ricky Smith tuned hot rod when it's hot outside. So you'll see a lot of cars that may try to play the ladder game. Some try to get as high as they can to get as many points. Others try to strategically place themselves into where a buy run could be if car count's low, or to potentially stay away from certain people who can throw a dart and know how to hit the bullseye whenever conditions are not A1. Ricky Smith is usually that person. So Tim Molnar, left-hand side. Currently your number 8 qualifier. May not improve, but we do see what Ricky Smith has in store right now. Molnar grabs a little bit of steering wheel, goes 376. Cam Clark, 388. Both drivers 2 Hun slow in comparison to their Q1 run, but you know, in the conditions, that's not bad.
And as we talked about, Tyler, these are the guys that you're not going to be comfortable lining up against first round of eliminations. They're going to go A to B.
Yep. And when you're looking at these matchups as you're going towards round 1 as a racer, you know, you really don't look at the elapsed time, in my opinion. You look at how many times somebody went to the finish line under power.
Yes, sir.
Freddie Scriba's done it now twice, and now has Tim Molnar.
We harp on it time and time again. You got to make the trip to make the number. So our next pair, Matt Deesh, left-hand side. The New York-based 69 Camaro. Number 7 qualifier to 374.3. And Jackie Sloan Jr. on the right-hand side out of Milan, Michigan. The Sloan Boys Racing. 1969 Camaro for Hands of Hope, Mullins Auto Parts and Service, The Fence Company, Pro Hose, Hoosier. Got one of those Musi Mills underneath the hood scoop. LAT Racing Oils. Number 9 qualifier to 374.7.
So Matt Deach and Jackie Sloan, 2 drivers that lift the scoreboard up with a 374 lap time in round number 1. We'll try to replicate that here in Q2. Both out and long, and they both replicate it. That's called calling your shot, Scotty Gore. 374.2s a pair. Matt Deach and Jackie Sloan both move up to 6 and 7 respectively. Jackie Sloan on the right-hand side of the row, number 6, according to miles per hour, 204.05 miles per hour for the 69 Chevrolet Camaro.
Yeah, that Pro Hose machine was moving out.
Scotty, after a couple of tire shakes to start the category, it now appears that everybody behind those couple of cars said, whoop, make a change.
Yeah, let's make it.
We've seen a couple of good ones.
Get ready to be Brian Schrader and Bubba P. Brian on the left side, the Pandemonium 2017 Corvette, number 5 qualifier, 372.4. And this is a redemption race for Schrader. Did not qualify at a race that he won the year prior at our season opener at Galat Motorsports Park. And Tyler, tell us a little bit about the right-hand side.
The LAT Racing Oil Chevrolet Camaro. The driver behind the wheel pretty much grew up at this racetrack. Buddy Perkinson has driven everything from a NHRA Pro Stock car to a junior dragster, and now to a PDRA Pro Nitrous car. Brought to you by LAT Racing Oils, Brown Line Construction, Perkinson Construction, and a host of others helping out that car right-hand side. Currently sitting number 8. The 374.2 just got bumped down 2 spots because of speed, because the 2 cars that he just watched go down the racetrack. Brian Schrader sits left side, currently number 5 on the qualifying order. 372.4. Like Scotty said, that is a grave improvement coming off of the Galot Motorsports Park effort that crew did not want to see. As Schrader and Buddy Perkinson will be our final pair before we go into the Travis Mills Foundation Fab 4 Shootout, which will round out Pro Nitrous. Buddy P goes into tire shake, will not make the trip, and Brian Schrader continues the trend of 374s that seem to be glued to the scoreboard. So 374.9 will not improve Schrader's previously run 372. That puts him number 5. He just missed the Fab 4 Shootout by 1 qualifying order, but now it's your 2 and 3 matchup in the Travis Mills Foundation Fab 4 Shootout. It is Tommy Franklin and Marcus Butner.
And two guys that have seen each other alongside the starting line many times in their careers here in the PDRA. Franklin here on the left-hand side with the Pat Musey Horsepower Jungle Rat 3.0. Redline Oil, Smart Comp, Franklin Electric on board his machine. Marcus Butner from Butner Construction here on the right-hand side. Another one of those Musey mills underneath the hood scoops. The hood scoop, not scoop. No, we're not running 2. So, hood scoop. So, the winner of this will face off in Q3 of the winner of our next pair.
That is correct.
For an extra $2,000 just to do something you're already doing, qualifying.
Just to do something right. Speaking of doing something right, Marcus Butner did the burnout that he wanted. Tommy Franklin did not. You could see the Jungle Rat 3 Chevrolet Camaro as it started to peel out of the burnout box. The rear tires stopped spinning of sorts and rolled out of the burnout. Normally, Tommy Franklin is continuing the burnout process past the Christmas tree. This time, did not. But it's hot. Yeah. And sometimes that plays in your favor.
A lot of times where guys don't get the burnout that they're looking for and then just march right on down Broadway.
It's not always about the big burnout. Sometimes it is, but the burnouts are fun.
Burnouts are cool.
Ask Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah.
So Tommy Franklin and Marcus Butner, your first pair in the Travis Mills Foundation Fab 4 Shootout here in Pro Nitrous. The winner moves on to face either Amber Franklin or Billy Albert. Tommy Franklin was number 2 in the first session. Marcus Butner was number 3. Franklin the quicker of the two, so he's on the left side. The Summit Racing Equipment left-hand side of the racetrack, and the Atomizer Fury Injectors right-hand side of the racetrack for Marcus Butner. Franklin and Butner, your first elimination round of the weekend. We'll see who moves on to the finals of the shootout. Two down, separate them up front. Butner into tire shake. Tommy Franklin goes low. Elapsed time 3:68.5, 205 miles per hour. And I do believe that will put him number 1 on the qualifying standings. That says, hey, you might be my daughter, but get out the way.
But hold on, because she's yet to run. So just as Tommy watched her go low, I can assure you that Amber Denton wants to go even lower.
I can promise you she didn't turn it down.
No, that's not on the agenda. So she's in the OG Jungle Rat with Musey Horsepower, Franklin Electric, Smart Comp, Redline Oil. Billy Albert here on the left-hand side, the Stan Nance-owned structural mechanical Chevrolet Camaro.
So as we look back on our notes here in the tower, Tommy just went 368.5, and that did put him number 1 by 1,000 of a second. Like we spoke on numerous times in this session, the first session, and yesterday, the car on the left-hand side, Billy Albert, has looked better this weekend than he has in a long time. Ricky Smith's got a handle on this new hot rod, and Ricky went 69 yesterday in the heat. Just saw Tommy Franklin go 368 to move to number 1. Gives you some confidence as a driver is Billy Albert, as a tuner is Ricky Smith, but you're sitting alongside the now provisional number 2 qualifier, Miss Amber Denton.
So Albert just watched Tommy Franklin go down that lane and go to number 1, so he knows the racetrack's there. Does he have the right tune-up, or does Amber Franklin march down, turn on the win light, and meet her father in the final round of the Fab 4 shootout?
I would expect Ricky to have somewhere around a 70 to a 71 loaded into this. I know that's what he went in Q1. I know Ricky's looking at tomorrow. I don't think he's too geared up on a shootout, but you never know. Ricky's one of those cagey veterans that's like, you know what? I'm going to let you boys and girls know who I am, just in case you forgot. So the final matchup of the Pro Nitrous Travis Mills Foundation Fab 4 shootout, it's Billy Albert and it's Amber Denton. Will we see the first matchup of Amber Denton and Tommy Franklin in Pro Nitrous competition? We're about to find out. As Amber Denton has already got the pre-stage bulb lit, Billy will roll in. Amber stages, and in 4 seconds, we find out who carries on. Amber wheels up side by side, and it is Billy Albert, and Billy Albert said, Tommy Franklin, get out of my way. 368.0, 206, and Ricky Smith said, hey boys, don't forget, I'm still the man when it comes to nitrous oxide. Billy Albert, Tommy Franklin, they'll show off in the Travis Mills Foundation Fab 4 shootout, and Billy Albert goes in as your #1 qualifier.
And you never, ever count out someone like Ricky Smith behind the keyboard tuning that machine. I tell you, that was impressive. So now we're going to jump on over to WS Construction Pro Boost, presented by P2 Contracting and Tide Drive. The first car to take time here in Pro Boost will be none other than Don Talley out of Bedford, Virginia, the 2014 Camaro. Small team. His son Ryan does the tuning, I believe, on this hot rod.
So Don Tolley will be our first competitor out here in the professional boost category. Your current number 19 qualifier will be looking to make a move up the sheet. Tolley 382 will better his elapsed time. That will move him up on the qualifying standings around the number 13 spot.
Well, that was impressive. Comes out first car and just marches after the start of Pro Nitrous. That was like, what's going on here?
Touche, I will give you that one. Your next pair, Steve King and Joel Winsley. Winsley had a, how you say it, loud burnout in Q1 and hurt some parts.
Much more toned down this time. But then Steve goes
Joel was much calmer this time, and Steve said, hey, that looked fun what you did last time. Let's try it again.
And I'm going to tell you, this, you know, Steve King missed it in the opening round of qualifying. But to see him back in 19 is kind of a surprise to me. I expect this thing to go A to B this time and hopefully march up the qualified order as King's in kind of unfamiliar territory.
Joel Winsley having trouble getting the car in reverse, finally found the R and is bringing it back towards the starting line. But Scotty, you make a really good point. Steve King is not a car that you are used to seeing on the bottom side of the sheet, much less complete bottom side of the sheet under the do or done line.
Yeah. G-Force, Resolution Racing Services, and Pilot Electric. On board King's machine here, left side. Liberty's Gears, VP Race Fuels for Joel Winsley. Brooklyn, Michigan, there on the right-hand side.
Yep. We talk about it a lot of times on how qualifying is important. That first run getting down the racetrack kind of eases you as a driver. Now, you're going into Q2. You're not in the field right now. So not only is it a little bit more of a stressful time as a driver, you're also looking at the hottest conditions. Now, you've seen Pro Nitrous cars come out, go by in the high 360s. You got to feel like you have a shot at it. It's there. But did you make the right tuning calls from Q1 to Q2 to be able to get down the racetrack that is now a little bit warmer than what you saw? Atmospheric conditions definitely not any better than what you raced in earlier today. So now these two drivers will move forward, and they will try to go after yet another qualifying session here at Virginia to put their respective hot rods into the 16-car Pro Boost field.
King has John Salemi on the keyboard behind that Corvette, so I know he's feeling pretty confident pulling up to the starting line. We'll see if the right decisions were made as the bottom bulbs start to come on, and these two fire off.
King with a huge wheel stand, but what was awkward about that to me was it looked like the left front of that car was absolutely way in the air, and the car was driving right, and the right side of the car did not look near as balanced. So Steve King's crew is going to go down the racetrack with a 4:85 elapsed time, which will be their best of the day so far. But they are on the outside looking in with one round of qualifying to go. And now there's a question mark of, is there an issue that caused that car to make that right-hand move and not be as balanced as we've seen that car in the past?
And, you know, going into Q3, it's do or die at that point. You know, you have put yourself behind the 8-ball.
Yeah, there is no 4, Scotty. It is 3. Kind of like baseball, 3 strikes and you're out.
Ain't nobody got time for that. 4 rounds
You right.
qualifying? Come on.
You right.
AD competition. Extreme Pro Stock presented by Boone Motorsports. We need you to the staging lanes. Pro Stock, we need you for Q2, please.
Scotty, speaking of unfamiliar names, underneath the do or done line on the qualifying sheet, last outings winner. Miss Melanie Salemi is currently number 19. Just saw her Resolution Racing Services teammate and Steve King not get down the Summit Racing Equipment side of the racetrack that she currently sits in.
She'll be up against James Beeling at a Homestead Falls, Ohio, 2018 Camaro. But back to what you were talking about there, Tyler, when we were at the line at our opening race, that Pontiac Firebird for G-Force and Resolution Racing Services only aborted one run throughout eliminations and qualifying, and every other run was in the 60s.
Yep. And it looks like, to start the weekend, Melanie has not had that same amount of luck. Not sure what changed. I've always said that race cars, when they get loaded into a trailer, get angry and they come out just mad. Not real sure why. But Melanie's Firebird has not been the purple rain that we have seen so far here in the 2025 calendar year. And Melanie needs this run. She just saw Steve King struggle to get down the left-hand side of the racetrack. James Beeling needs this run just as much as Melanie does, as that 16-car field only needs a 442 to get in. But when you go to Q3 without it, you're in trouble. Melanie will get there. How about 369.5, 205 miles per hour? Evan Salemi, John and Jim Salemi all put their heads together, made a move on that car, and that puts them right into the number 6 position. Whereas of right now, we'll put them in a safe spot. James Beeling will coast down to a 520 with a 3. No help, as he will stay in the 20th spot.
And that's going to bring out Chuck Walsh and Jason Lee. Walsh will be here on the left-hand side of the racetrack out of Mount Airy, Maryland. The 68 Camaro for E. Baldwin and Brian Roach Race Engines. He's number 16. That's the number you see on the scoreboard. That 437.3, and that is not a safe place to be and not a safe ET at all. Jason Lee on the right-hand side from Vernon, California, the Lard Machine. Coast Packing Company, Lions Custom Motorsports, Noonan Race Engineering, Hall Tech, PSI, and Hoosier on board his machine. He's number 22. Struggling here so far in qualifying, looking to put an A to B hit together right here and move up the order. competition, Extreme Pro Stock. We need you for Q2, please. Pro Stock, we need you for Q2. Chuck Osh left side. Jason Lee on the right-hand side. Quick note in the pits, the pump truck is on the property. But now we're getting ready to stage.
Chuck Olsh and Jason Lee both going to try to let go of the e-brake. Right about now. Olsh tire shake. Jason Lee looking like he's going to make a run 375, 200. Scotty, I know we both kind of went, 375. But for that team and the struggles that they've had through testing, and then this morning in Q1, that's a lap that you need. Currently puts them number 12.
But again, you know, qualifying's so important. The 375 was not the run they were probably looking for. They were wanting to go down in the 60s, but to be honest with you, they're sitting number 12 now. They can come back in Q3 and breathe a little bit easier.
Now you have data to build off of. Now you can figure out how to go fast because you got down the racing surface. Chris Klein and Ed Marks going to try to do the same thing as well. Klein comes in as your bump spot, the 4:30 elapsed time you see on the scoreboards.
Yeah, Chris Klein in the Christine machine out of Mooresville, North Carolina for Kirk Construction. I don't know what's going on with burnouts this weekend, but everybody's trying to scream. So anyways, Klein on the left side for Kirk Construction, Advanced Transmissions, and Chris Klein, Race Car Technologies. He's number 16, as Tyler mentioned. He's the number on the scoreboard. Ed Marks on the right-hand side. On the first time we've seen him here in the PDRA in 2025, the Cherry Valley, California-based 2023 Camaro for D-Cell Battery Systems, PS West Construction, YO Motorsports, and Tie Drive. He's looking to put an A to B hit together as well. Yeah,
Marks was planning to make his PDRA debut at Galot, ended up having an illness in the family and stayed home. So Marks making his mark on the PDRA tour here at Virginia Motorsports Park and is looking to finish out the season here with us on the Red Line Oil Championship Tour, racing as a part of the WIO Motorsports Todd Tutterow gang. So if you ever wonder who's somebody to put in your corner, that might be a good one to look at. Ed Marks feels the same way. Called on WIO Motorsports, Todd and Ty Tutterow, along with Brad Schmidt and the gang. Going to try to get Ed Marks into the 16-car field, currently being spearheaded by Johnny Camp. And Chris Klein sitting beside him, holding up the bump spot. Ed Marks will take it to the finish line and sacrifice one. 374, 202, and carnage will come out of that one as the burst panel said kaboom as he went into the number 11 spot.
All right, so we're going to take just a moment here and run the broom down through there to get rid of any extra pieces and parts that may have flown off Ed Marks' machine as he clips the traps. Just a few more trips there with the broom to make sure there's no metal shavings or anything out there on the racing surface. And definitely lost, Ed Mark's machine definitely lost the burst panel as he went through the trap. So we'll get it cleaned up and back to running here momentarily. All right, according to Gavin, our race director up here, the blinking lights are on the tractor. That means he's coming off the racetrack this time, and we'll be back underway. right, racetrack cleaned up. We're ready to go again with Kenny Lang and Raymond Matos. Kenny Lang here, left side of the racetrack, the 69 Camaro. He won a 377.8 on his first attempt. And Raymond Matos on the right-hand side of the 2020 Camaro went a 454, not the run they were looking for, wound up number 20.
Yeah, both drivers will be looking to better their previous run, as the announcer deck gets sponsored by Haribo. Shout out Haribo Gummy Bears. If you're listening in,
They good.
we accept sponsorships or product demonstrations. So two drivers here in the Pro Boost category will try to move themselves up on the qualifying standings. Kenny Lang, currently number 15, and Raymond Matos, number 20. Matos from Puerto Rico, with a two-car team so far this season with Gabriel Andino. Kenny Lang from Old Canada. Stars and stripes are lonely on this one. So Kenny Lang and Raymond Matos, both drivers going to try to go better than 382 on the board. Lang better than his previous run of 377.
So Kenny Lang left side, Raymond Matos, here we go.
Both out and gone. Matos 376. Look at Kenny Lang 371.3. Al Billis flexing on the Tilly. Left-hand side of the racetrack moves up to number 9, right above John Dockett, pushes him down to number 10. Raymond Matos will slide into the bump spot 376.0. That will now be the number to beat as we move on here in Pro Boost. Gabriel Andino, the Puerto Rico teammate, left-hand side, currently number 13, and yeah, that guy.
Jay Cox out of Smithfield, North Carolina. The 69 Camaro they call a pumpkin for Butner Construction, Smithfield Collision, Quartermax Racing, and Hart's Turbos. Guess who's out looking in? Jay Cox didn't have the lap he was looking for in the opening round. Sits on the outside looking in, and I don't know. Maybe that was a design small burnout for him.
Jay's the king of the small burnout in the hot conditions, so that does not surprise me. You can barely hear it run. Little quiet thing. So Jay Cox working closely with Mark Mickey and M&M Transmission on the pumpkin on the right-hand side of the racetrack. Twin turbocharged combination, making a whole lot of Hart's turbo horsepower. But right now it currently sits on the outside looking in, number 20, and he has to outrun the previously run 376.0 that you just saw go down the right-hand side of the racetrack. Gabriel Andino, currently number 13 with a 374.8, will be looking to improve as he just saw Kenny Lang go 371 right in front of him. As both drivers go to the pre-stage, you'll hear Jay build up the boost, right-hand side of the racetrack in the punt. Jay Cox making a really clean run, 375, 215 for Jay. Will put him in by 1/1000th of a second, and Gabriel Andino will move up as well. 373.2 to go number 12, so Jay Cox will put the pumpkin into the field at number 16. But we talk about it, and we've said it already, Scotty, just going down the racetrack right now gets you the data that you need for Q3.
100%, and Cox did exactly what he set out to do. Made his way into the show at number 16 with one round of qualifying left. Scott Lang and Ty Tutterow, our next pair. What a matchup this is, Tyler. Ty Tutterow on the right side out of Moxville, North Carolina for Quick Fuel, Ty driving Red Line Oil. Piloting the machine that his dad drove last year. He's number 15 right now at 375.7. And Scott Lang here on the left-hand side, the Equalizer 2018 Camaro for AML Motorsports, Nissan of Rocky Mount, Carmack, and Pro Line Racing.
Scott Lang, one of the hottest shoes in Pro Mod right now, coming in off of 2 wins in the state of North Carolina the last couple of weeks. One car that has surprised me so far this season, well, so far this weekend. Last race out, Ty and them went through a lot of damage. But now they've kind of come out after all their changes and haven't really performed the numbers that I expected to see out of Ty and the Justin Smith-owned Quick Fuel Chevrolet Camaro right-hand side. But when you have Todd Tutterow on board, you really always got a shot. So they'll be looking to improve on the 375 elapsed time from round number 1 of qualifying.
As Tyler said, hot hand right now in the Carolina. Scott Lang, left-hand side. Ty Tutterow. Pretty sure might have made it to the semis at Galot. But
I do believe he did.
Had a lot of carnage.
He did. He did.
Went home, fixed it all up. Trying to go A to B right here in Q2.
Steering wheel goes 372.9, 206 miles per hour. The scoreboard is a little bit overheated, as you can tell, so it does not show up on the scoreboard. But Ty Tutterow, 372.9, 206 miles per hour. We'll move him up to number 12. Scott Lang will stay at number 11 with his previous 372.
Kurt Stedding and John Dock. Stedding here on the left-hand side out of Carnegie, Pennsylvania. The 69 Camaro for YO Motorsports, Ty driving Redline Oil. Number 8 at a 371.0. John Dock, the Ford Mustang on the right-hand side, your number 10 qualified machine for Southern Diamond Company. TKM Performance. Went a 372.1.
Kurt Stedding and John Dock, the next two going to do battle here on the racing surface. Both out and gone. Kurt Stedding, how about Kurt Stedding? 367.4, 206 miles per hour. John Dock, 372.9, will not improve, but Kurt Stedding rings the bell to go up to number 4 and pushes world champ Jason Harris down to number 5.
Randy Weatherford, Preston Tanner. Tanner on the right-hand side out of Rensselaer, Indiana. Your number 6 qualified machine won a 369.1 for Tanner Transport and Talbot Manufacturing. Randy Weatherford here on the left-hand side of the racetrack. The WS Construction Camaro out of Danville, Virginia. Your number 8 qualifier so far at a 370 with a 1.
So like Scotty said, Randy Weatherford and Preston Tanner. Preston Tanner, the young gun, was one of the first cars to dip into the 360 range in the first round of qualifying. Randy Weatherford will be looking to do the same for WS Construction right down the road in Danville, Virginia. Randy is looking to move that Proline powered Camaro up the sheet. Preston Tanner looking to do the same. Randy Weatherford lost a hole and was running on 7 cylinders. Preston Tanner, 367.4, 205 miles per hour. Jeff Pierce putting a little bit more into that hot rod, moves into number 5, Randy Weatherford. So you saw it going down the racetrack out of the left-hand side of the headers. 1 cylinder was blowing raw fuel out of it, and all it was a dead hole.
Tommy Gray. And Ed Burnley will be our first pair of the Fab Four, presented by the Travis Mills Foundation.
Ed Burnley and Tommy Gray.
Tommy kind of surprised everybody coming out after getting back in the seat and laid down a 366.1. That was good enough for number 2 in the qualifying sheet. Ed Burnley went a 366.4. So Tyler, these two pretty evenly matched.
Scotty, let's be honest. We really probably didn't have Ed Burnley and Tommy Gray on our bingo card. Kind of thinking more of a Kurt Stedding, a Melanie Salemi, something like that. But Tommy Gray and Ed Burnley lay down really good laps off the trailer and put themselves in a really good position to take home some extra cash here this weekend for the Travis Mills Foundation Fab Four Shootout here in Pro Boost. So you've already seen the first leg of the shootout in Pro Nitrous, and now the second leg. Ed Burnley and Tommy Gray will battle it out, and we'll see who moves on to the final round of the Fab Four Shootout as Ed Burnley and Tommy Gray light the lamp.
Almost dead even on the start line. Breaks out of power. Move Ed Burnley to the final round of the Fab Four. He lays down a 366.9 at 198 miles an hour. And Tyler, that car is virtually a bracket machine.
It's a really good car for Ed Burnley. Back-to-back 366s. And really, let's be honest, Ed Burnley is due a good weekend. He's a major supporter of the PDRA series and is just about at every race that we put on. And it is really cool to see Ed Burnley come out of the gates and go back-to-back 366s and put himself in a final round in the Fab Four Shootout. And this matchup right here is the one that got everyone's attention. Jason Harris and Johnny Camp for the other side of the Fab Four Shootout.
Harris here on the left side of the racetrack, your defending world champion in the category out of Pittsboro, North Carolina, the Party Time Camaro for Southern Diamond. And Johnny Camp on the right-hand side, the Hells Bells Chevrolet Camaro out of Cannonsburg, Pennsylvania for Tapman Electric. This is the big one, bud.
The one thing that these two cars have in common, yeah, that's a long list. They're both Proline powered. They both rely on ProCharger for the boost. Fuel Tech controls both of them, but one key component really controls both of them, and that is Brandon Stroud. Brandon Stroud, one of the young gun up-and-coming tuners, has been absolutely dominant the last couple of seasons in his ranks of Pro Modified crew chiefing. He is working on both of these cars. I would expect to see them both run somewhere around the 366 range that Ed Burnley just did, but they all know that Jason Harris is a lights-out killer on the starting line.
Well, Johnny went to the finals, act a lot. He was 18 and behind in the final round, so he can leave too. But Camp won a 366 in the opening round of qualifying. Jason Harris a 368. Very evenly matched hot rods right here.
They are. Jason can make up that 2 numbers on the Christmas tree, but I can promise you they did not Party Time Chevrolet on the left-hand side of the racetrack. While Jason Harris is trying to say, let's go to party time, Johnny Camp is trying to ring the Hell's Bells on the right-hand side as neither driver has lit the pre-stage bulb as Jason Harris invites Johnny Camp to the dance, and it is now time. Off with Ed Burnley in the finals. Harris is ready. Camp second to stage. Maybe. 7-thou separation. Camp with the advantage, but Jason Harris with the win light by 2 thousandths of a second. Johnny Camp slows to a 370, and Jason Harris pretty consistently goes 369, but gets it done by 2 thousandths of a second. You'll see Ed Burnley and you'll see Jason Harris battle it out for the Fab 4 shootout win when Pro Boost comes back for the 3rd and final round of qualifying.
Wow. Drag race right there, Tyler. And Jason Harris lights the lamp. Now we're going to move over to AD competition. Extreme Pro Stock. Presented by Boone Motorsports this weekend. Stephen Boone on the right-hand side out of Weaverville, North Carolina. The 07 Cobalt with the Allen Competition engines. Hoosier Tire, Menser Motorsports on board. And Jeremy Huffman here on the left-hand side of the racetrack out of Catawba, North Carolina. The 3V Performance Cobalt. Lake Lookout Campground, Dellinger Fabrication, Hillside Auto, PRS, and Mike Huffman Enterprises helping Jeremy out. So crew chief set the wheelie bars, make their final adjustments, and these two ahead to the top ball. PDRA Pro 632 presented by PTC will take you to the staging lanes. Pro 632 will take you to the staging lanes, please. More issues for Jeremy Huffman here left side. Stephen Boone going to make the trip. How about a 4:13.4 in the heat of the day for Stephen Boone? Shoots right up to the number 2 spot on the qualifying sheet. Drinkwater still number 1 at a 4:13.1. Knocks Dwayne Rice down to number 2. So he won a 4:16.6. Jordan Insulin, the purple people eater, over here on the left-hand side. And Larry Pierce on the right-hand side. Larry out of Rockport, Texas. The 07 Camaro. Insulin out of Lakeland, Florida. The 09 Mustang for Jay's Performance and Repair, Talmadge Towing, PJP Construction, CJW Solutions, Dark Horse Coffee Company. Larry Pierce for Race Engine Development Services and Timo Motorsports. Jordan Enslin, the first of the party, as he lights the top ball. Clear him out a few times. Start to roll forward. Tree fires. Here we go. There he goes nowhere. Enslin. Nice looking pass. 4:16.9 at 173 miles per hour. Jordan Enslin will go to only 3 thou behind Dwayne Rice. Elijah Morton next out on the right-hand side. Chris Powers, your defending world champion here, left side of the racetrack. Powers for Sonny's world-class racing engines, his 2021 Camaro. And Elijah Morton for Carolina Utilities, Horizon Z, South State Development, and Allen Competition Engines. He'll be on the right-hand side, the Double Trouble Mustang. Adjustments made. Cars head to the top ball. Chris Powers left side. Elijah Morton here on the right. This is going to be a side-by-side pair to the top end. Chris Powers, 4:10 with an 8. 4:15.3 for Elijah Morton. Chris Powers going to take over the #1 spot. Bumps Alan Drinkwater back to 2. Stephen Boone 3rd. Elijah Morton 4. And Dwayne Rice 5. Mike Murphy, Kurt Neighbor. Next pair to do battle here in AD competition. Extreme Pro Stock presented by Boone Motorsports here this weekend at Virginia Motorsports Park. Mike Murphy, he'll be on the left side of the racetrack out of Coral Springs, Florida, the 01 Pontiac for Lightning Lithium. And Kurt Neighbors on the right-hand side out of the Buckeye State, the 2012 Ford Mustang. He's #7 on the qualifying sheet so far. Crew chiefs shut the door, walk away from the machines. Kurt Neighbor, right side. Mike Murphy, left side. Might have drove through the clutch a little bit. It's 461. Kurt Neighbor goes his low ET so far this weekend, a 419. Final two in category, Dwayne Rice and Alan Drinkwater. Dwayne Rice, left side of the racetrack in Grove City, Ohio. The Excalibur Racing Engines 2022 Camaro for CP Pistons. Tobacco Road Harley Davidson laid down a 4:16.6 in the opening round. Drinkwater here on the right-hand side out of Maitland, Florida. The White Whale 08 Mustang for Seminole Paving. Drinkwater and Drinkwater AED competition, Ram clutches, and Kazi Racing Engines. Came into the session number one, dropped back to the second spot with a 4:13.1. Powers just laid down that 4:10 with an 8. Does Drinkwater have enough in that Ford Mustang to go back around Chris Powers and take back over the number one spot? Crew chiefs and crews are setting the wheelie bars, making their final adjustments as this pair will head to the starting line. Pre-stage bulbs are lit. .410 with a 1 for Alan Drinkwater. And by 7 thousandths of a second going into Q3, Alan Drinkwater takes back over that number one spot. Dwayne Rice, how about a 4:16.1 at 174? That'll put Dwayne Rice number 5. So it's Drinkwater, Chris Powers, Stephen Boone, Elijah Morton, and Dwayne Rice. That's your top 5 in AD competition. Extreme Pro Stock presented by Boone Motorsports. Now we're going to make the move over to PDRA Pro 632, presented by PTC. George Coleman, first out, the 63 split window Corvette out of Hayes, Virginia for Cams. Platinum Coast Properties, Cousins Towing, and Julian Donnie Wilson. Liberty's Gears Pro Street, presented by Motorsports. We'll take you. Liberty's Gears Pro Street, presented by Mincer Motorsports. We'll take you for Q2, please. Once again, looking for Pro Street cars for second round of qualifying. We need you to the staging lanes. Row Street, we need you. all eyes on George Coleman as he'll take a single pass. Trying to march his way up the qualifying sheet. Straight pass for George, and he'll pick up to a 4:33.6. So great improvement there for George Coleman in the Corvette, all the way up to the number 9 qualifying position with that lap. Next pair, fire to life. Gary Hood, the left-hand side of the racetrack out of Severn, Maryland, the 63 split window they call the Inspector. Number 11 qualifier at 4:47. And Brian Claus on the right-hand side out of Pasadena, Maryland. This is Superior Speed and Custom 06 Cavalier. For injector maintenance. He's your number 10 qualified machine at a 4:34.1. Gary Hood, let's go 003 to run a 4:46.4. Brian Claus, 4:35.8 for the Cavalier out of Maryland. Will not improve. Kyle Salmon and Chevy Floyd going to be our next pair. Salmon in here on the left-hand side from Marine City, Michigan. For Matt's Electric, the 03 Cavalier with the Pat Busey horsepower is number 8 qualifier to 4:24.1. And Chevy Floyd on the right-hand side, the Black Diamond 68 Camaro is your number 7 qualified machine at a 4:24.0. Two very evenly matched machines here on the starting line. Only 1 thou separated in the first qualifying attempt. Chevy's mom guides him up to the starting line. Tells him now it's your turn. Pop's already made a run in the Top Sportsman machine. Kyle Salmonen, left-hand side. Pre-stage bulbs are on. Here we go. 4:21.1 for Kyle Salmon, and great run right to the day. Chevy 4:25, not going to prove his position, but how about Kyle Salmon going to the #1 spot by 1/1000th of a second. 4:21.1 edges out Jeff Pittman's 4:21.2, and Pittman had it on mile an hour, so there's 3 4:21s at the top of the order here in PDRA Pro 632, presented by PTC. Nicole Liberty, left side of the racetrack at Marine City, Michigan. The NGK Sparkplug Liberty's Gears Machines, number 7 at a 4:24.0. And Carson Hoyle here on the right-hand side, the rookie in the category, making his debut race here this weekend at Virginia Motorsports Park for ATI Performance Products. 69 Camaro. Chris Rini drove it at the opening event. Helped work bugs out. They got Carson some more seat time and said, "It's your turn, buddy." And he goes out. He sits number 5 right now at a 4:22.9 after his first attempt. Keep your eyes on the scoreboards. 4:25.0 for Carson Hoyle. Nicole Liberty picks up to a 4:23.1. So Nicole, number 6. Carson, number, we're going to stay right at number 5. 4:21, 4:21, 4:21, 4:22, 4:22, 4:23, 4:23, 4:24. That's great. They are a snug group here in qualifying. Walt Lanigan, left side of the racetrack. Your season opener winner in the category down at Galant, the CNC Concrete Pumping GTO out of Savannah, Georgia. Left side of the racetrack. Lexi Tanner on the right-hand side. The 2016 Camaro out of Rensselaer, Indiana for Tower Manufacturing and Manhattan Collision. Walt finds himself back in the 7th qualified positions. He's a 4:23.9. Lexi Tanner, the Camaro on the right side, a 4:22.7, has landed her so far in the number 4 spot. Andy Tanner at the door of Lexi's machine, making sure everything's good to go. Wheelie bars get set. They're going to start heading towards the top ball. To the top end, 4:22s across the scoreboard. Walt's going to pick up. He goes a 4:22.2. He'll actually go to the 4th spot ahead of Lexi, who will end up number 5 at this point. So our next pair fire up and head towards the water box. Pro Street, you should be in the staging lanes. If you're not there, you're late. Pro Street, you should be in the lanes. Jeff Pittman, who came into the session as your #1 qualifier in the Chevelle, is on the clock. Must get that machine fired up and head towards the water box. Jeff Melnick starts his burnout here on the left-hand side at Hubbard, Ohio, the 2020 Camaro for Greenbrier Excavating, PTP, and Mickey Thompson. He's #3 at a 4:21.2. And Jeff Pittman will not make the call, so they'll go back and regroup for Q3. Jeff Melnick will be on a single pass here on the white machine. Past world champion, Jeff Melnick. Beautiful pearl paint job on that Camaro for Melnick. As his crew makes the final adjustment, he starts heading up to the top bulb. And that doesn't go as planned. And looks like Melnick will come to a stop out on the racing surface. Safety quad already on the way to come pick him up. Don't forget, you can stop by the Flying A Motorsports PDRA apparel trailer. Get your event shirts. All things PDRA. The Hot Rod Grill is open in case you're getting hungry or thirsty. You can stop by there and get yourself something good to eat. Something cold to drink. Also, while you're walking around, we're going to do a little bit of track prep. So getting ready for our Pro Street and Super Street categories. Just a quick touch up of the racetrack. But you have time to walk around the midway. Go see Red Line Oil, Hoosier Race Tire, Goodyear Mickey Thompson, VP Race Fuels, PTC, Missouri Enterprises, Paragon Pro, Liberty's Gears, Drag Gear, Drag Illustrated, the VMP,
Mouth is what's up, and I knew this was going to be a good interview. Matt Deach, I'll get you why you got the emotion as raw, but man, Q2, some people have been struggling to get down this racetrack, and you go out, and this thing is like a bracket car, 374 and 374 back to back within a couple thousandths. That's stout.
Woo! Let's go, baby. I mean, listen, for it to get hotter out and, like you said, still running like a bracket car, I'm definitely right with that in the heat. Like I was saying earlier today, after this round, now that we got the data we need, when we're going into Q3, we are definitely swinging for the fences because 74 ain't going to cut it right now. Even though I'm pretty good on the light, we need to be a little bit closer to the top 3. But listen, let's get it, guys. I'm fucking psyched, and I'm ready to go, baby. I'm ready for the next round, and I feel sorry for whoever got to face in E1.
That's right. Scotty and I talked about it before. This guy, he's one to watch here in Pro Nitrous this weekend.
.27. 3927 are the last 4 digits. So bring that winning ticket up here to race control. Got a couple birthdays in the house this weekend. Bill Riddle Pro Street driver celebrating his birthday, so happy birthday, Bill. And Wes Weaver